Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we have a story that, it honestly sounds like a sensational novel. It's a stunning collision of Italian high fashion, obscene wealth, and a murder for hire plot.
It really is. We're talking about the story of Maurizio Gucci, the heir to that famous dynasty, and his ex-wife, Patrizia Reggiani, the woman who was convicted of orchestrating his assassination.
And for this, our sources are pulling from legal archives, contemporary news coverage, and some really deep financial reporting on the collapse of the Gucci brand before its modern-day comeback.
Right.
So our mission for you is to really unpack not just what happened, not just the headline, but why it happened. Why this tragedy was almost the inevitable end for a life spent chasing prestige over, well, everything else.
It all starts with this image of glamour, doesn't it? Patrizia and Maurizio, they meet in 1970, they marry just 2 years later.
And he's the grandson of Gucci. She's Patrizia Martinelli, but she gets adopted by a wealthy entrepreneur, so she gets an early taste of that elite Milanese life.
And Maurizio was apparently smitten from the very start. The story goes he saw her at a party and asked a friend, "Who is that beautiful girl dressed in red who looks like Elizabeth Taylor?"
Wow, so they became Italy's first real power couple. She was Lady Gucci.
And their lifestyle was, it's hard to even imagine. A luxury penthouse in New York's Olympic Tower, a chalet in St. Moritz, a house in Acapulco.
And that chauffeured car with the personalized license plate. Maurizio.
A fusion of their names, yeah.
Yeah.
They were socializing with people like Jackie Kennedy Onassis. They were the absolute center of that jet-set world.
How solid was all of this, really? Because from the start, Maurizio's own father, Rodolfo, was very skeptical of her.
He was. He publicly called her a social climber who has nothing in mind but money.
That's a direct quote.
It is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Patrizia never really denied it. She
Yeah.
owned that obsession with status. Which brings us to her most infamous quote.
Oh, yes. I would rather weep in a Rolls Royce than be happy on a bicycle.
That says it all, doesn't it? Her entire self-worth was wrapped up in the Gucci name and the luxury that came with it.
Right. But the irony is, while she's building this whole persona, the company itself is starting to crumble around them.
Exactly. Maurizio inherits a majority stake in '83, and he is, well, a terrible manager. It's just chaos. He gets into these destructive feuds with his uncle, Aldo Gucci.
And instead of focusing on the business, he's just spending a fortune on things like new headquarters.
Extravagantly. And the result of all this infighting and mismanagement was, the total collapse of the family's involvement.
So what was the final straw financially?
The final blow was in 1993. After years of losing money, Maurizio sells his remaining stake in the company to an investment firm called InvestCorp for about $170 million.
And that was it. The Gucci family was officially out of the Gucci business.
So the first time in history, yes. Zero stake in the company they founded.
Yeah.
And for Patrizia, even though they were separated by then, this was the ultimate betrayal.
It wasn't just about the money.
No, she had plenty of money. It was about the name, the prestige, the power. She said, he shouldn't have done that to me. He lost control of Gucci, and in her mind, that meant she had lost her most valuable asset. Her social currency was gone.
Which leads us right to the path to murder. And the separation itself, the way he did it was just so cruel.
Oh, it was brutal. In 1985, he packs a small suitcase, tells Patrizia he's going on a short business trip to Florence, and just never comes back.
He just vanished.
He sent a friend the next day to tell her the marriage was over. It was a complete public humiliation.
The divorce finally goes through in 1994, but the real trigger, the thing that turns all this resentment lethal, was his new relationship.
Yes. Paola Franchi,
Yeah.
an artist and interior designer. He started living with her, and they were planning to get married.
And for Patrizia, this was an existential threat on two fronts. One, she would no longer be the official Mrs. Gucci.
Right. And two, and this is the critical part, there was a massive financial trigger.
Let's talk about the alimony, because the numbers are just staggering. She was getting somewhere around $1.47 million a year.
That's the figure the courts upheld, yeah. Some early reports said a bit less, maybe $860,000.
Yeah.
But the point is, it was a fortune. And she was terrified that if Maurizio remarried, that alimony would be cut.
Probably halved.
At least. And this is where her incredible sense of entitlement really shows.
This is the bowl of lentils quote.
That's the one. She scornfully called the prospect of a reduced payment, which was still hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a bowl of lentils.
It's A moral vacuum, isn't it? She wasn't fighting to survive. She was fighting to maintain an aristocratic lifestyle.
Yeah, and that panic, that status anxiety, it starts fueling some really malicious behavior. She begins stalking them.
Sending threatening tape recordings.
Yes, calling Maurizio a monster, warning him that the inferno for you is yet to come. It got so bad, her own lawyer reportedly had to send her a letter telling her to stop making public death threats.
So you have the status anxiety, you have the financial threat. And this wasn't a crime of passion, was it? This was a calculated business decision.
Completely. This was an outsourced transaction, and it all came to a head on the morning of March 27th, 1995.
Maurizio Gucci arrives at his office in Milan, a normal Monday morning.
As he's walking into the building, a gunman approaches and shoots him 4 times. 3 times in the back, and then the final fatal shot to his head.
And the doorman, Giuseppe Onorato, he was shot too, wasn't he?
He was. He was shot twice in the arm but survived. He was the one who cradled Maurizio as he died right there on the steps.
The most chilling detail for me comes from Patrizia's diary.
Yes. The entry for that day, March 27th, contained a single word.
Paradisos.
Greek for paradise. She later admitted that when she heard the news, she just thought, all my problems were gone.
And she acted on that immediately. This was a territorial move.
Hours after the murder, hours, she serves Paola Franchi with an eviction notice for the apartment she'd shared with Maurizio, and then Patrizia moves right back in, literally reclaiming her territory.
Okay, let's talk about the conspiracy itself. Because the group she hired was this very strange mix of high society and the Milanese underworld.
It was. Patrizia was the orchestrator, obviously. Her go-between was her psychic and confidante, a woman named Giuseppina Oriema, or Pina.
Her psychic.
Her psychic, yes. She trusted her completely. Pina arranges the hit for about $365,000.
And Pina then brings in a hotel porter.
Right, Ivano Savioni, who was deep in debt. He then recruits the getaway driver, Orazio Sicala, and the triggerman, a pizzeria owner named Benedetto Cirolo. It's this whole chain of command designed to create distance.
And it worked. For almost 2 years, the case went completely cold.
It did. The breakthrough didn't come until 1997, and it came from an anonymous tip that pointed the police toward the hotel porter, Savioni.
So this is where it gets really interesting. They put a wiretap on him.
They did. And they caught him on tape discussing hiring a hitman for a completely new job with an undercover officer.
No way.
Yes. And while he's bragging, he lets slip all these crucial details about the Gucci hit the price, the players. That wiretap was the smoking gun that connected everyone and led to all 5 arrests.
And the trial in 1998 was just pure theater, the Italian equivalent of the O.J. Simpson case. Patrizia shows up draped in Gucci and is immediately dubbed Vedova Nera.
The Black Widow.
So Black Widow. Her whole defense was basically that she wasn't mentally stable. They blamed it on a brain tumor surgery she'd had in '92.
And she tried to claim that Pina, her psychic, had actually blackmailed her into paying for the whole thing.
She didn't help herself on the stand, though.
Oh, it was a disaster. It was a moment of pure, catastrophic self-incrimination. She admitted to paying Pina the $365,000.
And then added,
completely unprompted, that it was worth every penny.
And that was it. Any argument about her being a victim or mentally unstable just evaporated?
Completely. She was sentenced to 29 years, ended up serving 18. And even in prison, the entitlement never stopped. She called it my stay at Vittori residence. She even kept a pet ferret in her cell named Bambi.
But the ultimate display of this mindset, for me, comes in 2011 when she's offered early parole.
On the condition that she get a job.
Right. And her response is just legendary. She turns it down.
She turns it down, saying, I've never worked in my life and I don't intend to start now.
She chose more years in prison over the so-called humiliation of having a job. It just defines the entire story.
It absolutely does. She did eventually take a parole job in 2014, but that initial refusal says everything you need to know.
And even after all that time, there's just no remorse. A reporter asked her after her release why she didn't just shoot Maurizio herself.
And her answer was so chillingly practical. My eyesight is not so good, I didn't want to miss. It was an economic decision, a problem to be outsourced.
Okay, we have to talk about the most baffling economic decision of all, which comes from the legal system. The fact that Patrizia Reggiani, a convicted murderer, still receives $1.47 million a year from the Gucci estate. How is that possible?
It's an incredible point of law. The Italian courts basically ruled that the divorce agreement, the civil contract that set up the alimony, was signed before the crime.
So the murder is considered a separate criminal matter.
Exactly. They ruled that her murder conviction was, and this is the term they used, irrelevant to the existing civil contract.
So she gets paid by the estate that's now managed by her own estranged daughters.
Correct, the ultimate loophole. Her actions, which were meant to secure her place in the family, ended up destroying her relationship with her daughters, but the money just keeps on flowing.
And this whole story, of course, was brought back into the public eye with the Ridley Scott film, House of Gucci, and that had its own controversies.
It did, from two sides. First, Patrizia herself was annoyed that Lady Gaga didn't come to meet her. Gaga's response was, perfect. She said she didn't want to collude with a killer.
Right, and the other controversy came from the Gucci family.
Yes, the surviving family members. They issued this scathing statement saying the film was inaccurate and an insult, that the filmmakers were stealing the identity of a family to make a profit.
And they were especially angry about the portrayal of Aldo Gucci.
They were. They complained he was shown as fat, short, with sideburns, really ugly. Which just shows, that even decades later, that obsession with image and status is still right there at the core of the family identity.
So we've gone from this jet-set glamour through financial ruin, status panic, and that one chilling word in a diary, paradisos, paradise. It's clear how the loss of identity and the fear of financial decline led directly to murder.
It really is. And this case is such a perfect example of the disconnect between, our moral sense of justice and the strict mechanics of the legal system. A convicted murderer receives a fortune every year because a civil contract was deemed untouchable by a criminal act.
And that really raises a question for you, our listener. When does the strict letter of the law, which is focused on contracts and prior agreements, get to override our collective moral sense of what is just? Who decides the real consequence when a crime is rooted so deeply in greed and entitlement?
In a world where status and wealth are still such powerful motivators, how do we reconcile a system that protects the fortune of a killer because of a document signed years before the crime? That's the question we want to leave you with today.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.